Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something every single leader is thinking about. How on earth do you manage Gen Z? And let me be clear, this isn't just some fluffy, nice-to-have skill. This is absolutely critical for your company's future.
Let's just start with a big number, 30%. Think about that. Within just a few years, almost a third of your entire team is going to be Gen Z. This isn't some far-off prediction, This is happening right now as we speak.
So that brings us to the big question, right? Is your leadership style actually ready for this massive shift? Let's break it down. We're going to look at the risks of getting it wrong, the huge rewards for getting it right, and then the actual playbook you can start using today.
All right, first things first, we have to talk about the cost of doing nothing, because trust me, not adapting is not an option anymore. There's a real, measurable price to pay when old school leadership bumps up against Gen Z's expectations. And we're not talking about small stuff here. If you misunderstand this generation, you're looking at three major headaches. First, people leaving. That's high turnover. Second, this whole quiet quitting thing, which is a huge productivity drain. And third, you could seriously damage your employer brand. Your reputation as a great place to work. Let's just zoom in on turnover for a second. Losing just one team member can cost you up to twice their yearly salary. Seriously. When you add up the recruiting costs, training a new person, the work that doesn't get done, it adds up incredibly fast. And then there's the sneaky one, quiet quitting. It's like a silent killer for productivity. See, these employees don't actually leave their jobs, they just check out. They're physically there, but mentally they're gone, and their output can tank by up to 40%. They're just doing the absolute bare minimum, and that can poison a whole team's performance.
Okay, enough of the doom and gloom, because here's the flip side, and it's awesome. For leaders who are willing to adapt, the upside isn't just big, it is massive. We're talking about a serious strategic advantage. So what does that payoff actually look like? Well, you get better performance and people who actually want to stick around. You build a culture where people feel like they can be innovative and take real ownership of their work. And your company becomes a magnet for top talent, instead of, the opposite. And check this out. This data right here really drives the point home. 73%. That's how many Gen Z employees say they do better work when you just give them some trust and autonomy. It doesn't get much clearer than that, does it? There is a direct line between how you lead and the results you get. Okay, so we know the why. Now let's get into the how. How do we actually capture all of these benefits? It's time to open up the playbook with a clear, actionable plan for any leader out there. The whole strategy boils down to 4 simple ideas. I want you to remember these as the 4 C's. It's your new leadership framework: connection, clarity, confidence, and contribution. Super simple, but incredibly powerful. Let's break them down one by one. Okay, first up, connection. And I mean real, genuine connection. It's all about building trust through human interaction. So forget another stuffy formal meeting. Think more like a casual coffee chat with absolutely no agenda. Seriously, you'll build more trust in one 15-minute chat than you will in a month of emails. All right, number 2 is clarity. And oh man, this is a big one. It is time to kill the corporate jargon. Just stop. Nobody wants to leverage synergies. They want to know what to do. So instead of that corporate fog, just be direct, be clear, be human. Tell them exactly what needs to get done, who they need to work with, and when it's due. It's really just about respecting people. The third C is confidence. Look, nobody is going to be creative or take risks if they're scared of getting their head bitten off. You have to create what's called psychological safety. And all that really means is making a space where it's okay to ask questions and where a mistake isn't a catastrophe. It's a chance to learn something. That's how you unlock real confidence. And that leads us perfectly into our final C, contribution. Here's the secret. You can't demand this one. It's not something you can force. Contribution is what happens naturally when the other 3 C's are already in place. Once people feel connected, clear on what to do, and confident enough to try, they want to contribute. It just happens. And by the way, a huge piece of this is recognition, but you have to do it the right way. For Gen Z, a public shout-out is gold. So don't just say good job in a one-on-one. Praise them publicly on the channels they actually use, like Slack or maybe even LinkedIn. And be specific. Great work on that client presentation means way more than good job this week. It shows you're actually paying attention. Okay, so for our last point, let's just zoom out for a second. Because what's so cool about all this is that it's not really just about Gen Z. It's actually about something way bigger.
And here it is, the big takeaway. All of these ideas, being clear, showing respect, building trust, giving people autonomy, these aren't Gen Z things. This is just what great leadership looks like, period. It works for everyone. So by making these changes for your youngest employees, you're not just managing Gen Z, you're actually building a better, stronger culture for your entire company. So that really just leaves us with one final thought, one last question to chew on. The choices you make as a leader today, they aren't just small adjustments. They are literally defining what your company will be tomorrow. So the real question is, are you building a company for yesterday, or are you building one for the future?